to pass those on. So working with young people and doing leadership development is also something that I hope to do in some capacity for a long time.
That's great to hear. And that actually dovetails perfectly into my last question. So thank you for that. So you mentioned earlier that you experienced some disillusionment or disenchantment with the political system during and after Obama's presidency, and certainly, when the results of the 2016 election came in. But you turned that disillusionment into really productive, meaningful engagement with the system. And I'm curious to hear what you would say to other young folks now who are feeling maybe like you did, in the past, and feeling like their voices don't count or their votes don't matter, or that it's easier to just disengage with the system rather than try and participate in it. What would you say to those young folks?
People like to give millennials a really hard time and say that we are sitting around on Snapchat and eating avocado toast. But what I see in young people is a struggle between knowing that the world that we are inheriting is a difficult one. We are graduating with a lot of student debt as a generation. We are inheriting an economic system that is troubled. And we also are aware that we are going to have to grapple with climate change, deal with a problem that the generations before us refused to even acknowledge. And in the face of that reality, I have seen a lot of young people be willing to make huge sacrifices and be willing to run for office, work on campaigns, move around the state, have short-term jobs that are very difficult, where they have to stay up late into the night and get up early the next morning. I think we realize how high the stakes are. Not only are they high because our values and the things we care about are at stake, but also the very democratic process that we rely on to make progress in this country, to reflect the will of the people, is at stake. And I think it's, what I would say to young folks is remember all that's at stake, find your people, connect to those issues that impact you and the people around you, and build power. It really is the only thing that has pushed this country towards progress. Movements are critical. Good people being willing to engage in very messy democratic processes is critical. And I hope that we can continue building the kind of political power that it takes to make our government truly representative of the people who live in our communities.
That's a really powerful message, and I know that folks will appreciate hearing it. So, Wisconsin State Assemblymember Greta Neubauer, I want to say thank you so much for being here today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much again for having me. It's really good to talk to you.
And we're really going to enjoy watching your work as it progresses over the next couple of years. So thanks again.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode. Huge thank you to Greta Neubauer for her time and thoughts in this interview. Credits to Alec Macmillen for interviewing, engineering, and editing. If you liked what you heard, make sure to subscribe to UC3P on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you find your podcasts. We're excited to keep bringing you great content every week. And don't forget to check out our other podcast series like Thank You for Your Service and Popcorn Policy. If any of you are fans of the Oscars, Popcorn Policy has an episode on Black Panther you won't want to miss. That's all for now. Keep an eye out for next week's release.